Thank you everyone for joining us. We're just going to wait till a couple minutes past the hour to let everybody join, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining. We're just going to give it just a couple more minutes here to let some people sign on, and then we'll get started. Okay, we'll just go ahead and get started, do a little introduction here before we get into it, so let people join for the next couple minutes. Well, welcome. Thank you for taking the time to join our webinar today. My name is Amy Shavanik. I am the event director for the Northeast DAS and Small Cell Association. We're hoping that this is a great presentation for you we have lined up here. It's the NEDAS live seminar series, Software-Defined Remote Units, an Industry Game Changer, presented by JMA Wireless. Next slide. First, I want to start by just saying a quick thank you to our 2017 annual sponsors. They're currently listed on your screen here. We wouldn't be able to accomplish as much as we do throughout the year, provide these seminars and develop the community without them. So just a quick thank you to them. Next. And then for 2018, as you know, we're at the end of the year here. It's 2018 is rapidly approaching. Just a few dates to put in your calendars. So what we're looking to have in 2018 in February. We're going to have a DC social. New to NEDAS, to our event list, is Chicago. So we're going to be having a Chicago social on May 9th. Which will also be the 5-year anniversary for IMPR operating NEDAS, so it'll be quite a celebration. On July 18th, we will have the NEDAS Boston Symposium located at the District Hall, same place as we've had it the past few years. And then finally, to end the year, we are going to have the NEDAS New York City Summit on September 6th. So that is new. We normally have the New York City Summit in the spring, but we are moving it to the fall. So it's the Thursday after Labor Day. And we're hoping to really just make it, the biggest and best yet. If you're looking to get involved in sponsorship or attending, or you want more information on the events, please feel free to contact info@nedas.com. We also have annual sponsorships available currently as well. So if you want to hear more information and how NEDAS can really help propel your brand in 2018 and help you reach your marketing goals, again, just reach out to info@nedas.com. Now that I'm done with my portion of it, my NEDAS portion of it, so we'll just jump right in here. So again, this is the Software-Defined Remote Units, an Industry Game Changer, presented by JMA Wireless. Please note that you can ask questions throughout the webinar. There's a location for you to do that on the GoToWebinar platform. Once you send or ask the questions, I will be fielding them and asking them at the end of the presentation. So you feel free to ask throughout as they come, but note that we won't ask them to Andrew till the end, and I will be asking him directly. Also, this presentation is being recorded and will be available to all the registrants post-webinar. You'll be receiving a thank you for attending eBlast, and the link to watch the recording and a link to view the actual PowerPoint presentation will be available to you at that time. Now today from JMA, we have Andrew Otete. Andrew is the product line engineer at JMA Wireless for the TEKO DAS product line. Andrew has worked in the telecommunications business in RSD, technical support, and product management. He has a bachelor's and master's degree in electrical engineering from Florida State University and an MBA from NYU Stern School of Business. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Andrew to continue the presentation.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you everybody for joining the webinar. It's a chilly day out here in the Northeast today, and as a side benefit, I hope you'll be warmer from being inside after listening to me drone on for about 30 minutes, but also feel warmer because of your newfound love for the SDRU after this webinar. So let's go ahead and get started. So what are my objectives for this webinar? Well, I hope that at the end of this, you'll be able to understand what a software-defined remote unit is and what it does. And also, you'll be able to define the need or elucidate the need for software-defined remote units in the DAS industry. We'll also work on identifying the challenges faced by other solutions and list the advantages of the SDRU. And last but not least, we'll be able to relate the features of the SDRU and the JMA DAS platform to your total cost of ownership, which will help you make a larger profit. So first, let's talk about the rollout puzzle. We have 4 major carriers here in the US, and they all have different timetables and different ways of costing and different times for rolling out whenever they're joining a DAS system. They have different time frames, as I state. They add bands at different times. They don't add all the bands initially and add over time. They sometimes hold off on making a decision to either put in a DAS or join a DAS system. But when the decision is made to join a DAS system, then implementation and time is critical. They normally want us to put in the DAS as quickly as possible and be up and on there and running as quickly as possible. And these constricted time frames that are a challenge for access are often a problem. Not only sometimes, but often a problem. So given these challenges, DAS manufacturers, of course, have come up with ways to handle these. And we're going to talk about 2 of the major ways that people have handled the challenges posed to us by our customers, and how we meet their needs given what they're asking for. So a major way that we have attacked this issue here at JMA Wireless and other places to give flexibility and to allow for phased rollouts is to allow for modularity, of which there are 2 main types. There's hardware modularity, and then the software modularity, and you can choose which one you would want to do. So we took a look at this, looked at demands placed upon us by our customers, the major carriers, and figured that the best way or the most desirable and cost-effective solution to handling these demands placed upon us was to use software modularity. Software modularity gives us the flexibility to meet the timeframes given, and also to ensure quality service to our customers whenever and wherever they need it. So what are the challenges faced by using hardware modularity as opposed to software modularity? Well, one of the things is that a certified technician must access your equipment at any time whenever you're adding bands or power using hardware modularity. And of course, certified technicians are always available who will know the ins and outs of your equipment. Sometimes it's also difficult to access remote units. Typically when you're putting in a DAS system in a place or a venue, every now and then there's a certain percentage of remote units that are difficult to reach and hard to access places. This poses a challenge to hardware modularity as well. Not last, but most importantly, there are potential mistakes that can be made when putting in hardware modularity pieces. It adds to the points of failure that could be found within the DAS, and of course there's the opening and closing of the equipment and the accessing of the equipment that can impair your reliability and allow for mistakes that could hurt service. This is also time consuming. Accessing each remote location, making sure that you put in the right bands or power upgrades, going back, recommissioning, making sure that worked out fine, making sure that if there's any issues, you go back out there, back to the remote units and fix it again. This all adds to increased time and energy, which cause increased costs to your customer and to yourself as an operator. And lastly, of course, the system recommissioning. You have to recommission everything after that. In addition to that, traditional modular remote units mostly accommodate this by going through 2 different ways. They have an expansion board, or you're able to push into a backplane and add different modules. This adds the weight of the unit, which may or may not be part of your calculation when you're actually putting in the DAS system. It exposes the remote unit hardware to the external environment every time you access it. And and so you have to be careful that if it's, for example, if it's NEMA 4 rated enclosure, that you do not violate the NEMA 4 rating. And it also affects the plant coverage depending on how it's configured. One other thing to take note of is that upgrading can be iterative. You can have an operator join your band in one band, and within the same year add 3 separate bands, all necessitating visits back to the remote unit and back to the different locations that you have the remote unit, and also adding to all the different reasons I've specified as to why you don't want to open a remote unit, making sure that certified technician available, make sure that every time you open it, the integrity of the unit itself is not compromised. These are all issues that come up. On the supply chain side of things, the logistics of having hardware modularity is also an issue, in that you have to warehouse the modular units. The logistics involved in keeping those modular units safe and then making sure they're available to the end customer or at the site when needed are also daunting. So all these came into play as we looked at this as when it comes to modularity. And we figured that the best way to reduce cost, increase efficiency, and allow for improved reliability was to go the software modularity route. So we came up with a JMA Wireless software-defined remote unit. The JMA Wireless software-defined unit, or SDRU as we call it, just another acronym to add to the many acronyms you have, has bands defined with a software license. So what does this mean? This means that when you buy our software-defined remote unit, all you have to do is buy it and choose the band that you want to initially deploy the band, the remote unit with. You can choose any of the bands, any of the major carriers use. It is totally up to you. And you can also choose different power classes that you'd have with the bands that you license. You can deploy the remote unit and then choose the band that you want, purchase the license, activate it, and you'd be up and running in no time. This gives an immense amount of flexibility when you're not sure which carrier is going to come on first. If you're worried about the expense of making sure that all the carriers are online initially, this allows you to simply choose whichever carrier you want, activate the band, have the system up and running, and let others add bands or frequencies as they wish. The software-defined remote unit also allows for different power classes. So there's a license available for the output power. What this means is that you can choose the output power, the default output power that you can have, and then you can upgrade as others come onto the system. If they're sharing different power class, different frequency bands, you can upgrade the power, add to the power, and then allow for everybody to have enough power to serve whichever venue you want to serve. The management of this SDRU unit is through what we call the SDRU software panel, which is software that can be run on any laptop or PC. It allows you to access the remote unit without worrying about human error. Allows you to pick the bands you want simply by clicking different checkboxes. Activate and or purchase the license when you need it in a very quick and efficient manner. And of course, the software-defined remote unit is available today. So what I'm showing here on the screen today is our low-power remote unit or our medium-power remote unit. And next, I'll talk about our high-power remote units. So the high-power remote unit has the same features as the low-power, medium-power remote units. The licenses are available per band. You can do it per band. You can do it. You can also do the power on a per band basis. There's a power boost license available, so you can buy it at one power output and boost the power output when you add more bands or add more carriers to the system, giving you the flexibility to maintain your footprint and indeed exceed it if you so wish. All the major carriers are supported, both in the low power and medium power and the high power remote units. So It doesn't matter what band you're looking at, 700, 800, 850, 1900, AWS extended, WCS 2500. These are all supported within the remote units today. The band and power management is again through a common interface, the SDRU panel, which can serve either remotes, and it's available today. So this change in our approach to modularity has lent itself to different advantages, which I'll talk about a little later. Our full platform today, when it comes to JMA Wireless TEKO DAS, allows for low power, medium power, high power, very high power, ultra high power remote units. And all our remote units are compatible with Fuse, a digital electricity, which I'll talk about a little later, that gives you an alternate powering option when it comes to the software-defined remote unit. So what is the reason to get the SDRU? Well, if you look at the different legacy remotes and how they were configured versus the SDRU, you come up with a bullet point list of some of the advantages you get. When you have a legacy modular remote, you have backplane or cabling that may or may not be an issue. With the software-defined remote unit, all that is fully integrated. It's tested at the factory as a complete unit. All the bands are software-defined and can be tested at the factory. So when it ships, everything is fully defined, which eliminates possible fault points. With the modular system, you have to have repeated access to the remote whenever you're doing upgrades. With the software-defined remote unit, the seals are never broken. It is software-defined, and therefore it maintains its IP or NEMA 4 rating. There's a high cost per remote for field upgrades because you need skilled technicians. You need the technicians skilled and educated in the ins and outs of your equipment. With the software-defined remote unit, you can upgrade. You can do it remotely. You can upgrade remotely via software. You can add bands via software. You can boost the power via software. There is no need to actually go to the remote unit, open it up, and shut it again. When it comes to the inventory planning of modules, there's only one time that you plan for modules is when you're putting in the remote unit. The inventory is a license key. Well, when it comes to physical space and weight, the SDRU is really compact in design, one of the smallest in the industry. And it does not impact uptime or require time when you're adding bands or upgrading. What happens is that when you upgrade and you add a band or power, it applies in seconds, does not affect any of the other bands, and so your system is not down at any time. These are some of the big advantages that the software-defined remote unit allows us to exploit. So just a quick snapshot here of what it takes to literally either choose bands and order them or activate the bands. It's simply a question of clicking the checkbox, either exporting or activating, and you're ready to go. And this is true for the 2 watt, the 1 watt, the 2 watt, 10 watt, all the power bands or the power classes for the SDRU. You can personalize the system and tailor the system to meet your needs or your customer's needs when you need it, wherever you need it. We like to say that it can be in the middle of an event and you can upgrade your system at any time without worrying about affecting any other bands or hurting any of your current system uses. There are other advantages that this allows for. One, when you're installing a DAS system, it takes time. When you're adding a module, it takes time. When you're boosting the power by changing out modules, it takes time. Well, at JMA, we've also looked at this and made sure that when it comes to actually installing the system from the get-go, with the added benefit of the SDRU, you'll be even better off. One, because when you install the physical equipment, it's very easy to set up and install. The time to optimize the parameters for JMA DAS is very, very little. The additional time saved by adding bands or power simply increases or lowers your cost of ownership a great deal, and allows you to quickly add bands and or power at a great rate. This is really important when you have large venues, for example, when you have stadiums or really large venues where the number of remote units is huge. The SDRU's advantages here are pretty compelling. The SDRU, as I said, has a very small profile. It's got a fully integrated and compact BTS interface, so when it comes to interfacing with any type of signal source, be it BTS or RF repeater, you can interface to it in a very compact environment. It supports all the different RF sources and can support up to 80 watts even input power. So what this does is it allows you to reduce the overall operating expense and the capital expense when you put in the SDRUs and when you maintain the SDRU over a long period of time. The smaller footprint can be of great benefit, especially in places where you're renting space because you're charged on the space you take up. There's also the simple fact that space is at a premium no matter where you go nowadays. And so you want a compact unit and you want an effective unit, and that's what the SDRU gives you. But you can get this compact unit that you would have to add to if you use hardware modularity. With the SDRU, you're always sure that the footprint that you have stays the same and doesn't have to change. So this is, you should be able to mix. One of the other advantages of JMA power classes is that you can mix and match the power classes. You can have the high power, ultra high power, and the low power or medium power all in one system, all using the same head end. And that allows you to simply utilize your space more efficiently and be ready for expansion if and when you need it. An important point to make here for the SDRU and JMA Wireless DAS in general is that it's more than just putting in a DAS, and it's more than just having a signal everywhere in the facility. The quality of your signal really does make a difference. You can have signal everywhere and yet not have the same data rates for everybody, meaning that people are starved of the data that they need and are not getting the value that they need. And therefore, your customers are not making money and you are not keeping your customers happy. You can have a same building with the same signal level, let's say NIC 75 dBm as is shown in this slide, but the data rates in the two buildings can differ quite a great deal. You can have 64 QAM or 16 QAM or 128 QAM or 256 QAM in either building. What that means is that for the 64 QAM building, they can satisfy their customers' requirements for data faster. They can satisfy more customers, so capacity is enhanced. And although the same signal is everywhere, you can have 5 bars everywhere within both buildings. Clearly, the ones that are having 64 QAM data speeds are way better. And the main thing that helps when it comes to the data rates and data speed is to make sure that the EVM, the error vector magnitude, and the noise figure of your equipment is really low, because this impacts the performance and the business case for your DAS. So it reduces your cost on a per data basis. It also makes sure that your customers are happy when the DAS gets in. So in a real basic formula, the higher your EVM, the higher your noise figure, the lower your data rate or data speeds. And the lower your noise figure and the lower your EVM, the higher your data speeds. This SDRU and JMA DAS in general have one of the lowest EVMs and noise figure in the business. So it's definitely a compelling case for using this whenever you can. Standard today within the DAS system is a need for monitoring. Any system, no matter how small, needs to be monitored to make sure that any alarms are taken care of, or any optimization that needs to be done is done. So JMA offers a full suite that allows for a complete monitoring on a 360-degree basis. You have web-based administration, or where you can remotely monitor the system. And of course, you can also go on site and plug into the system at one location, the head end, and monitor it there. You can have spectrum analysis of the system. You can record data using our MSA. You can also use a multi-site OMC management system that allows you to monitor multiple sites. And we use, of course, you can use a third-party monitoring system because all our equipment is SNMP enabled and allows you to use SNMP monitoring when available. One of the other advantages of using SDRU is the different or alternative architectures that it allows. So you can have your conventional venue from a single BTS connected by fiber. You can have a multi-venue from a single data center that also is connected by fiber to one location. Or you can have multiple operators in different data centers or BTS hotels that all converge at one location or one major location, such as a stadium or a large venue. This is all possible with our SDRU and our JMA DAS system as well. When it comes to the different powering options that you have, whether it's SDRU or conventional JMA DAS, you have your AC power option, which is standard, your DC, which can be -48 volts. But we also have the Fuse digital electricity system. Now, the Fuse digital electricity system allows for pulses to be sent over long distances on Cat5 cable, for example. It can go as far as 6,000 feet. The pulses send voltage down the line that are received by a digital receiver, on the other hand. Then it gets an acknowledgement from the receiver that the pulse that was sent was received and all is well. This gives you an unparalleled amount of safety when it comes to the powering option of the Fuse. What this means, because of this monitoring option, you don't really need a licensed electrician to put in the powering for a Fuse. So Fuse allows you to put in, using Cat5 cable, you can power remotes up to 6,000 feet away. It also allows you to have battery backup at the head end for those same remotes. So this allows you to, if you had such a system where you had battery backup at different locations, you can all keep it at one centralized head end location. You can use, you don't have to use a certified electrician to put it in, because simply if at any time there's any break in that circuit and that acknowledgement is not sent, it simply stops transmitting. So the Fuse is a different and an innovative new powering option that gives you options that you didn't have before. There are also several mounting and HetNet integrated solutions that we offer with the SDRU. When I say HetNet, what I mean is that you can use a camera, you can use a sensor, you can use all that mounted within a cabinet that would hold the SDRU, and power that same cabinet and use fiber from that cabinet to communicate with the head end, use Fuse to power that same equipment, whether it be an access point, a camera, a sensor. And all this is allowed by the different mounting and powering solutions that you're given with the SDRU and our mounting options for JMA DAS. An important thing to say is that we don't know what the future holds, but you know what's important for all new technologies coming out. JMA DAS has been able to adapt to all the different technologies that have come out over the last few years. It's an exciting future. 5G is coming out. LTE MIMO has already here. LTE Advanced is here. And there continue to be innovations in the telecommunications sector. With the SDRU and JMA DAS, you are covered, or you're future-proof. The system is future-proof when it comes to these new technologies, simply because we know what the modulation schemes can be, and we have developed our power amplifiers and our system to accommodate any new advances that come in the next few years. So we've had the same platform from going through all these different iterations of the different technologies, from WCDMA to LTE Advanced. And you can rest assured that when it comes to what comes with 5G, we're well placed to handle that. So in summary, let me just give a quick summary of why the SDRU is the right equipment at the right value for today's world. You have a small footprint and alternative architectures that you can use that allows you to conserve space in buildings, conserve space in closets, makes it possible to use different locations that were not possible before if it was bulky, if our equipment was bulky or large. Quick commissioning. Quick commissioning allows you to save time, allows you to commission and compressed time schedules, which is always the case when a DAS is being put in. There was always a need to get it on yesterday, even if the funding for it came through today. So it minimizes deployment time and allows you to quickly commission everything that you need. You can do both indoor and outdoor with the SDRU, with the different power classes we offer. You can do in-building, campus, parking, and you can use all of it uses the same head end, whether or not you're using different remotes at different locations. It's multi-band, multi-carrier. All the carriers can use our DAS system without worrying about whatever technology that they're using. It supports all the tenants, and so that allows you the flexibility to allow the tenants to come on at any time they wish, anytime they wish, at any power level they wish. There's a flexible modular design that allows you to expand. The software Modularity allows you to add power. It allows you to add bands, and all at the click of a button or a checkbox, as it were in this case, and activating. So it's a really non-intrusive, very quick, very easy way of expanding a DAS system or adding tenants to that DAS system. And of course, there is remote admin and monitoring that allows for the requirement, really, in today's world, that the DAS system be monitored by someone somewhere at all times. So in summary, the JMA Wireless DAS has unmatched flexibility when it comes to providing service. You know, it gives you an independent band and power upgrade in any combination you need. The upgrade can be done in real time or remotely at any time. You don't have to add additional hardware or cabling whenever you are doing an upgrade or adding power. It gives you a small footprint, and it's really part of a comprehensive platform that allows you to serve all different power classes that you need. The NEMA 4 rating of your enclosure will stay solid because simply it will never be opened, and you can support additional bands, of course, including FirstNet, for example, and in future it will support 600 megahertz and so on. So it's easy to add these different bands when and if you need them. I hope you learned something despite my best efforts here, and I'll open it up to questions.
Great, thank you so much, Andrew. Appreciate it. The first question that we have is, what is the default output power per model?
So it varies on a model basis, but in general, you can have 1 watt or you can have 10 watts. So that's.
Okay. This next question is, are there VEX files for the units and how do I get them?
Yeah, so VEX files are available. They can be obtained by talking to any of our, well, your sales rep or any of our system engineers. They'll send you the VEX files. The VEX files are also available in IVWave, of course, if you are a registered user. We can send them to you for all the different models we offer for the SDRU. And they're readily available. So just get in touch with your sales rep or systems engineers, and we will be happy to help.
Okay. How do I choose whether to use the fixed power product from JMA or the SDRU?
That's a great question. So the SDRU, if you know for sure that your tenants or your the people who will be using the DAS will only be using just one band for let's say 700 megahertz. Then your best bet then would be to go with the fixed JMA DAS remote units, and then use that. But if you're not sure, if you think it might go from 700 to an AWS as well, or 1900 as well, and you're not sure of the time frame, or you're not sure when that change will happen, then in that case, I'd advocate going with the SDRU, because then you can simply add the bands if and when needed. And if it's not needed, well, then you don't have to worry about it. So that's how I would approach this question about whether using a fixed band or an SDRU is a better way to go.
Okay, great. This next group of questions here is a tad lengthy here. So where is the SDRU panel located?
So that's a software application that will be provided to you. You can use it on your laptop, and you can just use it to access the equipment, much like our OMT does, our GUI interface. And access the equipment, you use it the same way as our OMT. It's a panel, it's a software application that can be provided to you either from the system engineers or your sales representative in the region. So please get in touch with your sales rep or the system engineer that is assisting you with any of the design that you may have, and they can get you the application.
Okay, the next question is, can we upgrade the legacy TEKO remote units to the SDRU?
Yes, that's a good question. No, you cannot. The SDRU is a specific family. You have to buy an SDRU remote unit. The old or the fixed JMA TEKO remote units cannot be upgraded via software. They can't do that. Only the SDRU or the software-defined remote units can do that. So those cannot be upgraded, or they cannot be upgraded to SDRU remote units. One thing to note, though, is that the head end can support either one or a mix of both. So it doesn't matter what you have in the past. If you want to start adding SDRU remote units to a system, you can. The head end will support both the fixed and the SDRU remote units.
Okay, and can you explain the pricing? Is there a base price for the unit and then additional cost for the licenses?
Yeah, what I would say there is to get in touch with the sales rep, because he can go through the different scenarios you'd have when it comes to pricing and cost. There's a whole deck that they have, and they can walk you through the cost and the pricing as needed, and that would be a more productive conversation, I'm sure. So please do get in touch with your sales rep. You can also get in touch with me. I'll be happy to talk with you. So you can talk about the pricing and what you're trying to accomplish, so that you can work with our system engineers, our sales reps, and make sure you have the complete solution to whatever issues you're facing.
Perfect. Next is, can we mix power per band, 1 watt for low band and 2 watt for high band, for example?
This is a great question. Yes, you can mix high and low power on the same remote unit. So you could have a 1 watt for the 1900 and the 2 watts for, I'm sorry, 1 watt for 700 and 2 watts for AWS, or 1 watt for 800 and 2 watts for 1900. So it's on a per band basis. You can do that, and you can also do the power and the band on a per band or per frequency basis. So yeah, that flexibility is available to you. You are able to use different power outputs for different bands in the same remote unit.
Perfect. Can you explain further how we can reduce the NF of equipment as per your slide if we use SDRU compared to existing TEKO remote units?
So what I would like to make sure that you understand is that what I was saying is that in general, our JMA TEKO DAS systems have very low noise figure and a very low EVM. It is the same for both fixed and SDRU. It's just that we have one of the industry lowest EVM and noise figure. So because of that, you are able to take advantage of more of your signal, and the quality of your signal allows for better utilization of the RF. So it's not that you can reduce the noise figure. The noise figure is what it is when it comes out from the factory, but it is one of the industry lowest noise figure and EVM that is out there. I just want to make that clarification.
Okay, great. Can you have another session comparing the SDRU versus legacy TEKO gear?
Yeah, I think if you want that, for sure, that is an in-depth discussion that you should have with a sales manager or a systems engineer. And we have systems engineers all over the country. They're always willing to help. They're very knowledgeable, very well educated on the terms of RF, and they can walk you through the benefits of using one or the other, of which there are substantial benefits. So I'd encourage you to either get in touch with me or get in touch with your sales manager, or if you know who the systems engineer is in your region, get in touch with them, and they will walk you right through it. You know, they have the different scenarios, and they can walk you right through it, and you can make a decision with all the facts in front of you.
Okay, great. For 5G, will it meet the fiber latency requirement?
Our units themselves have very low latency. So it will meet the fiber requirements depending on the length of your fiber. There is no doubt about it. So there is no limitation when it comes to our equipment, but there is an inherent limitation when it comes to the length of fiber. There is always going to be an inherent delay with fiber, and whatever that maximum delay is, we will be able to support it with our equipment.
Okay, great. Can a carrier take up all the power within a band that may require the placement of an additional remote?
Yeah, it is possible. What I would say is that if you want to give a carrier 100% of the power in a band, it is possible. You can also give them less, 50%, or you can simply upgrade the power, add 100% more power, and then make sure that everybody has the same amount of power. Or you can change the power class of the remote unit that you're using. That is more of a of an architecture or utilization aspect that would be up to you. You can decide how much power somebody uses and keep it that way, or you could give them 100% of the power as you have stated. So that's completely up to you. It's the flexibility of the system. You can do whatever you want with it.
All right, and then what are the fiber requirements for each customer?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Sorry, what are the fiber requirements for each customer?
Oh, okay. So the fiber requirements, the only fiber requirement is that you use single mode fiber. That is the only requirement when it comes to the software-defined remote unit. There is no other requirement when it comes to fiber. So you'd have single mode fiber and SC angle polished connectors, Sam Charlie angle polished connectors. Those are the two things that you would need when it comes to fiber and using them with our software-defined remote units. I guess something else I forgot to say is that you can always contact customer service at JMA Wireless, and they will direct you to a systems engineer or a sales manager in your region. They can help you with any questions you may have regarding our software-defined remote units, how to use them, where to use them, and any comparisons that you may need.
Okay, perfect. Well, that's all the questions that we received, quite a few, so that's great. I always like to see a lot of questions. And Andrew, if they have any questions for you, can you possibly share your contact information or who to contact if they have questions directly?
Absolutely. I think we said that we would be sending out a mailer later after this webinar. My contact information can be included in that. Please do feel free to contact me. I'm always happy to get emails for questions about our equipment. You know, and hopefully, like I said, your newfound love for SDRU is warming you from the inside right now, and you're ready to reach out to me right away. So yeah, we'll definitely, my contact information will be part of that information.
Perfect. Okay, great. Well, thank you all very much for taking the time to be a part of this. I hope that you learned something new as well, and that, you know, again, it keeps you warm now, like Andrew said. It's great. But I hope you all have a wonderful holiday with your friends and family. And if you have any questions about NEDAS in general, please, you know, don't hesitate to contact our team either at info@nedas.com. So again, appreciate you, Andrew, so much. Thank you for presenting this to us. It was great information, and we'll talk to you later.
All right. Thank you, everybody, and I appreciate the opportunity to give this webinar today.
Thanks, guys. Have a great one.